Welcome to Life on the Wabash, your home for the lighter, brighter, happier side of your community. We'll cover places to go, events to explore, recipes to try, and information that makes your life easier or more fun. Let's dive in. Good morning and welcome to Life on the Wabash. I'm Lindsay Veramis.
And I'm Matthew Bergeron. This show is a celebration of community and opportunity.
Our goal is to connect you with upcoming events, new businesses, local staples, and fascinating places you'll want to explore.
It's a teaching tool too. Boilermakers like me are creating this show and stepping in front of the camera and behind it to produce this show.
But enough about us. Here's what we've got for you. Honeybees and apple trees. We're getting a deeper look at fall harvest. Which apple should you choose for pie and which is best to eat? The apple experts fill us in.
And we're learning about homegrown honey too. A look at the beekeeping process and its sweet rewards.
Oh, the horror! It wouldn't be fall without something spooky. Meet a local filmmaker with an eerie project in the works. We're spicing things up, venturing into hot sauce production, what gives these bottles a special kick and where you can find them.
But first, fall flavors are rolling in. Our team canvassed the area, asking local eateries to share their best taste of fall.
Life on the Wabash starts now.
Today we're at the Lobby by Grey House to feature their fall cocktail menu, and we're with my good friend Lane. She's the assistant manager here at the Lobby location, and she also runs their social media page. But Lane's going to talk us through a couple drinks today. What are we starting off with, Lane?
We're going to make the Strange Trails first. This is one of the more unique ones off of our fall menu. It's got some ingredients we haven't used before.
Okay, what's in the Strange Trails?
Yeah, so we've got tequila and Amaro as the base. Amaro is just an herbal liqueur, so it's a little bit like floral, spicy, but it's got that tequila flavor in it, and then we've just got some maple syrup and lemon juice as well. It's a little bit more on the bitter side, especially compared to a lot of the cocktails that we've done in the past. It's definitely more of a sipper, something you're gonna order and drink over the course of a few hours compared to some of our like sweeter, creamier drinks.
And now we are checking out the second drink off the Lobby's fall cocktail menu. So Lane, what is in the pumpkin pie martini?
Yeah, good question. So we start with just a base of a standard pour of vodka. We also do heavy cream just to add a little bit of texture in there. And then we have a house-made pumpkin pie syrup. So that's gonna be kind of the star of the show in this.
I noticed there is some crossover with the cocktail menu and the lattes and like just like the tea concentrates and everything.
Yeah, so we love just to have a little bit of connection between our coffee menu and our cocktail menu. So we've got this on both menus, the pumpkin pie, and then we also have our Harvest Moon tea latte concentrate that we have in a drink called the Landlady on our cocktail menu this fall.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
It's pretty good. So we shake it till it's about that color, and then I'm gonna go ahead and strain it into our coupe. So nice and creamy.
It looks like pumpkin pie filling.
Yeah, it basically is. It's delicious. It's definitely more of a desserty cocktail compared to the Strange Tales.
Our next stop is at Baked by Brittany on Purdue's campus to taste some fall flavors. Come on. So we're here with Brittany now, and she's going to give us some insight on her baked goods. So what do you have here today?
Yeah, so we put together a nice little, fall tray. We've got our big s'mores jumbo cookie loaded with marshmallows and graham crackers. So we've got some fun little Halloween cakesicles, mini pumpkin pies and pumpkin bars. Our brownies are really popular, so we jazz those up with some fun fall Halloween sprinkles, and then a pumpkin oatmeal cream pie.
Yeah, they all look
all
very
things
good.
pumpkin and fall and delicious.
Now, do you have a personal favorite?
If I was gonna grab something, I'm probably going for that s'mores cookie.
Yeah, that one, it looks pretty good.
You really can't go wrong with a big chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah. So, do you want to tell us kind of how these came about, if there was any inspiration behind them?
Yeah, I mean, fall is definitely our favorite time to be bakers. And so we just dive right into it. Our case every day is loaded up with cinnamon and pumpkin and apple, but then we're also going to mix it up and add in some carrot cake or, blueberry pies or things like that. So just add in something for everybody.
I love that. And then lastly, you guys do brunch, lunch, and dinner.
Yes.
When can people stop in and see you?
Yes, a little bit of everything. So Tuesday through Saturday, we offer lunch through dinner starting at 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. But then on the weekend, Saturday morning and Sunday morning, starting at 9 a.m., we do offer brunch. A little bit for everybody at every time of day. We also have a full bar. So we have cocktails and beer and wine. We're family friendly. So truly something for everybody.
I'm here with Veronica at Insomnia Cookies, and we have 2 new great fall items. Veronica, could you explain these to everyone?
Yeah, so that one that you're holding, that one is our Campfire Classic. It's got marshmallow and graham cracker and little Hershey's Kisses. It's got everything you would expect in a s'more, all wrapped up in a cookie. And this one that I'm holding is going to be our Apple Cider Donut Classic. It has little bits of apple, and it's really cinnamony, and it tastes like it came out of a donut shop.
Sounds delicious. If you guys have a sweet tooth, be sure to drop by here at Insomnia Cookies.
No quest for fall flavors would be complete without a stop at Sweet Revolution Bake Shop, just off Columbia on 5th Street in Lafayette's downtown. Let's go check in with Fiona Sarah to see what she has in store for us. So Sarah, if somebody comes in and says they want to taste fall, what do you recommend?
It's typically our apple caramel pie, but right now we just rolled out our pumpkin bread and our pumpkin cheesecake, which is awesome. We're excited about them. The pumpkin cheesecake, hands down, I think is the favorite.
Customer favorite.
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
Do you have a favorite season? I was always curious, if you're in the baking industry, what's the most fun?
This is it. The spices and the caramel and oh my gosh, yes, it's my favorite.
Anything new in the pipeline for us?
Oh, we do. We have a whole new menu rolling out for November. So we're going to have a couple fall croissants coming out and a couple new pies that we're really excited about. We're going to have our Thanksgiving dinner croissant and a pumpkin croissant coming out. So yeah, we have a lot of fun things coming.
All things pumpkin.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can really smell the aromas. Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Dense, moist, you really feel that spice coming through. This is exactly what you look for in a pumpkin bread. Of course, our list of fall flavors is not exhaustive. There's so many other restaurants that have amazing fall flavors. So get out there and explore.
Hello everyone, I'm here today with Lavender Bee Company, a 4th-generation family farm that specializes in lavender and honey products. And today I'm here with Preston. Preston, tell us about Lavender Bee Co.
Lavender Bee Company is a family business we came up with back in 2022, and we decided, well, what's something we could do that'd be beneficial for the public? We're really trying to focus on agritourism, so bringing educational experiences and people out here to the farm. We already had bees out here because we needed pollinators for the apples and peaches and cherries, and it just kind of all came together pretty well.
What are some general beekeeping basics for individuals who want honeybees in their own backyard?
Get on some quality YouTube videos or get plugged in your local beekeeping community. There are some organizations and groups in just about every county, and they're the black belts. They're going to let you open up hives. You can use their equipment. You can lean on their expertise and their wisdom. It's probably going to cost you a little less than $1,000 to get all the initial equipment to get started. So it's a little bit of an investment. There's a lot of time that you're going to commit to it. We need bees. We need as many people as possible in this world to start keeping bees. 70 to 80% of the fruits and vegetables we eat come from bees and pollinators. So I'd encourage everyone to get started.
Absolutely. About how many bees would you say are in each hive?
If you look at the hives behind us, there's about 3 boxes. The one on top is just used for feeding, but the 2 below it, I'd estimate there's probably 30 to 50,000 bees.
How can you make sure that your honeybees survive the winter?
The prep for winter always starts in the fall. Doing a hive inspection, and that can be, it's simply a checklist that we run through. And then we'll actually break open the hive and we'll check all the different status of bees from birth to becoming an adult. We'll do some mite treatments. There's a couple things that can befall bees. And so we'll treat those things in the fall because once we close them up for winter, it's batten down the
It's
hatches
hands off.
and it's hands off.
All right, now we're in the bee processing room, and Preston here is going to give us a little bit of a demonstration. I'll also walk us through everything that's in the room.
We talked about a visual hive inspection, seeing what bees are bringing in. This is what we look at. Once we break it open, we've got a deep frame right here. And if you can run your finger across this, that's just wax. The question is, where do we actually get the honey? That's where the super comes in. It's 10 frames once again.
Oh, wow.
Same wax, but they're a little bit smaller just because they get really, really heavy, burdened with honey. This right here is honey. How do we know? This is nectar. Nectar has not been capped yet. It's about 80-something% water. Once it's been dehydrated with enzymes in their mouth, it becomes honey. Once it goes there, we take it over here to the uncapping tank. And I take this knife right here, and I go medieval on this thing. Follow with me to the next stage right here. This is called an extractor. And this thing goes in vertically, just like this. We put 9 frames in. We turn this on at about 40 RPM, and it spins the honey. Uses centrifugal force to get it out there. Last thing I want to show you is what it actually looks like when the honey comes out. Fill it up to the top. We bottle it, label it, and this goes out in the market, and that's what people will buy and put on their table.
There's a fall festival here on the farm tomorrow. Tell us about that, and how can the community support Lavender Bee Company throughout the winter?
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun. You've got free tractor rides. You can pick apples, take them home with you. If you've never had fresh farm-raised apples, then you're in for a treat. But we'll also be doing honey processing demonstrations. So if you didn't get enough out of today's talk, then we'll go a little more of a deep dive. Sadly, that's going to be the bookend to our season. But you can always go to our website. You can get all of our products year-round. If you're local, we'll bring it to you. And then if you also want to schedule tours, you can still come. We'll keep this place heated so you can come in and take a tour yourself. And then we'll keep starting again in the spring.
For many people, fall hasn't really begun until you've made your first trip to your local orchard. But have you ever felt a bit lost in these rows? We're here at Wea Creek to get an apple education and learn a bit more about each variety. Here to break it all down, I'm with Perry Kirkham, the owner of Wea Creek Orchard. I would imagine this is a pretty exciting time.
Oh my, yeah, it's exciting. There's so many new people coming up and there's so many things to share. So yeah, it's very busy, but we enjoy it very much, yeah.
Well, let's walk through some of the different apple varieties to get that education. Pink Lady. Tell us about that.
A lot of people have heard of Pink Lady. Pink Lady came out, I think it's about 15 years or so ago. It's a very sweet apple. You can tell that let me try to find a good one. It's called Pink Lady because it's kind of got a pink blush, which kind of reminds you or me of a Fuji. So sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference. There's a huge difference in the flavor of a Fuji versus a Pink Lady. These are a wonderful apple.
What's the best use for them?
Pink Lady, it's a wonderful dessert apple. But also, if you like a sweet, crisp or pie or things like that, Pink Lady would make a very good baking apple for that purpose. Anything that you need to retain the shape and texture of the apple, I wouldn't use it for a sauce or a butter.
Okay, moving on to Golden Delicious.
The Golden Delicious is it is probably the best all-around apple that we've had.
There we go.
Very brief story. Stark Brothers, which is the oldest nursery in the United States, started back in the 1700s, had obtained the Red Delicious, at that time called a Hawkeye, from an Iowa farmer. And they were sent some of these apples in about 1902 from a farmer out in West Virginia over a series of Christmases. So they thought, we're going to find out more about this apple. So they drove out to West Virginia in the early 1900s, finally found this tree. They were so impressed with the tree, they decided they're going to pay $6,000 for that tree right then, and that was in the early 1900s. So they brought it back to Missouri, named it the Golden Delicious. They named the Red Delicious after that, and that kind of began the start of so many apple breedings. Golden Delicious, Red Delicious, Jonathan are some of the most common parent apples. Every apple you see now is a hybrid.
Kids like this one a lot,
Kids
right?
love it. It's a very sweet apple. It's not exactly pretty. I mean, you can find some that are truly yellow. Oftentimes, I mean, this is a very ugly apple. You can see it's had insect damage here. But if you see something like that, that's a very pretty apple, but because it's yellow, it gets ugly really quickly. And you can begin to see the little brown specks in there. Those are called lenticels. And the more those brown specks appear, the more you know it's got sugar in it. It's absolutely wonderful. I wish we had some blondies to show you, but Golden Delicious is probably just the best all-around apple for everything: dessert, pie, butter, sauce, crisp, anything you would possibly want. You cannot go wrong with a Golden Delicious. Great apple.
Okay, moving down the line, what do we have next?
Okay, so I don't have very many of these, but this is called a Northern Spy. It's out of Canada. It's also sometimes called the Spy. This came out just before the McCarthy era. So because this was called a Northern Spy, Canada, as a joke, sent this to McCarthy and said, here is one of your Northern Spies. In the 40s and 50s, this is the one that everybody recommended could be used for pies. In fact, there was a marketing campaign saying spies for pies. The average housewife was supposed to use a Northern Spy for pies. It's really interesting when you see some of the history on some of these. Northern Spy is a great apple.
And Pixie.
This is the Pixie Crunch. This is a Purdue apple.
Really?
Purdue works with Rutgers and Illinois to form what's called PRI Consortium. Rutgers is extremely good, and certainly all three are very good on their own rights. But in general, Rutgers is extremely good at breeding these apples, making wonderful flavors out of them. And then they send it along. Illinois does their things. And Purdue is really good at breeding disease resistance into these because of a man by the name of Jules Janik, who really understood the genetics of it. So not only is it a wonderful, crisp, juicy, small, snack-sized, wonderful, sweet apple that is also disease resistant. Here is one called a Crimson Crisp, which is also a Purdue apple. I've chosen an ugly one, sorry about that. But it's a lot like a Pixie, but it's got just a tiny bit of tartness to it.
Yeah,
so the three most common, oh, this will be wonderful. Just wait, Lindsay, just wait till we get on the other side. So the three most popular, so to speak, of the Purdue apples are the Pixie Crunch, the Gold Rush, and the Crimson Crisp. All wonderful apples.
Okay, more coming, right?
Jonagold. You cannot beat a Jonagold for tartness and sweetness. It is a cross between a Jonathan and a Golden Delicious. It's such a wonderful apple that Cornell, who originally came up with the apple, has decided we're going to rebrand this to actually make it more popular. It doesn't say crisp or crunch in the name. Nobody wants to buy a Jonagold. So they're going to rebrand this. We haven't heard yet what they're going to rebrand it yet, but it's a great apple. It is much better than some of the new ones that are coming out. It's a very good apple. It's pretty crunchy, pretty crispy, so it works very well in a pie. It doesn't work quite so well when you have to smooth it out, like in a butter or a sauce. So this one is my favorite one to talk about, a Newtown Pippin. This is the oldest American apple. It came out somewhere in around, we first know about it in around 1740. It was made famous, I suppose, by George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, both of whom said this was their favorite apple. I don't particularly care for sweet apples. My wife doesn't particularly care for tart apples. We both love this apple because we can't decide if it's sweet or tart. It's extremely intensely flavored. Wonderful, wonderful apple.
Which tends to be the most popular at your orchard?
To pick, it's the Pixie Crunch. People come out for Honeycrisp and they go home with Pixie Crunch. And there's a variety of reasons for that, but the Pixie Crunch is snack sized. And a lot of people come out with children and they want something a child can fit in their mouth. And so it works out to be very well for them to pick the Pixie Crunch.
Today we welcome a special guest, an instructor at Purdue University and also a filmmaker. He has been making a new film recently. Let's welcome Jason Zink.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Jason, you have made several short films in the horror space. What sparked your interest in directing horror films?
I started pretty young. My parents would show me old Godzilla movies and things on Svengoolie, stuff like that. So I watched a lot of cheesy stuff. It was all heavy special effects, and as I got older, I started watching like behind-the-scenes documentaries and figuring out how they did some of it. So I just started playing with my friends, and it, eventually snowballed into what we do today.
Absolutely. Walk us through the creative process of creating a horror film compared to an action or maybe a drama.
Special effects can be really demanding. This film specifically is a whole different beast from your traditional production because everything's supposed to feel natural, very real, very grounded. So we're filming a lot of these things in a singular take. So imagine, in a traditional film, an action film, you have somebody get hit in the face and you need to show that they spit a tooth out, right? So you have coverage from different angles that you can cut to. In our film, you're trying to capture all that in one shot. So it can be really demanding, very difficult for the team, but also really rewarding when we get it right.
What are the horror movies that gave you the inspiration for your current film?
Current film, mostly, well, anything found footage, so Blair Witch Project, you know, that kind of thing, but also the movie Peeping Tom, which is like the original slasher film. A lot of people don't know that. They think it's Halloween, but for us it's Peeping Tom, and so in that movie, the killer, protagonist and antagonist at the same time, he is a photographer. He's filming people when he attacks them and letting them see their own demise, essentially. So we were like, what would that look like today? Because that movie was shot in 1960 or whatever. So what is the 2024 version of that? And that's what mostly inspired the movie.
It's very interesting. Tell us about your horror film, Looky-Loo, and when is it available to the public?
So it's a movie about a guy who's filming the world around him. So it starts off pretty slow burn, but he's delving further and further into darkness. So he starts following people. He looks through their windows at night. He'll then break into their homes and look through their things when they're not home. And eventually he descends to murder. So it's pretty harrowing watch, pretty demanding, pretty dark, but it's pretty rewarding if you can stay through it. And we're releasing on Blu-ray and VHS through Scream Team Releasing and Lunch Meat VHS on February 1st.
Awesome. What advice would you give to someone who is aspiring to be an indie filmmaker?
That you have to start somewhere. I think they just need to try. A lot of people, you know, they suggest you go to a hub like LA or Atlanta, you meet the right people, and a lot of people just wind up waiting a long time to get started, or they never start at all. And so for us, we started young. We started while we were still in college, actually, and with each film, we've learned, we've grown, and we've had fun, and so it led to what I'm doing today, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't just take a gamble on myself over a decade ago.
The temps might be cooling down, but the heat is rising in the Purdue Food Science Lab.
Did you know the university has its own hot sauce line?
It's a student effort from start to finish. Here's a look.
Hi, I'm Melissa Suarez, and I'm here in Nelson Industrial Kitchen in the bottling process of the hot sauces. So I'm here with Ali, that is one of the instructors of the class. So Ali, tell me about the bottling and the process of the hot sauce that is happening here.
This is year 2 of our Boilermaker hot sauces and pickles class. And we had a really good first year with our gold sauce and our black sauce. So today we are bottling our black sauce, and the produce is from the Purdue student farm. We've been fermenting for several weeks, and now the students are working to fill the hot sauce all tonight. And we will have almost 1,000 bottles of black hot sauce by the end of the day.
Finding the right ingredients, doing so sustainably, that's been a big thing. It's a lot more than just kind of throwing stuff in a vat, you know? You kind of have to formulate everything as you go.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's been so rewarding. I mean, you learn about like sustainable farming through this, you learn about marketing, you know, just like product, like food safety, like all these things.
As it's totally student driven, they make the decisions on what they want to do. Now this hot sauce is a repeat of what we made last year. But this is teaching them really what they need to be looking for, what kind of decisions they need to be ready to make, so that when they make their own product later in the semester, they'll have a lot of autonomy.
So how was the process of making the hot sauce last year when it comes to like formulations and stuff? And why you guys decide to do hot sauces?
So hot sauce is a really great product to learn because there's a lot of inherent safety mechanisms based on the sauce itself. So it's fermented. That adds a level of safety that's been done for hundreds of years. It's also a highly acidic process after that fermentation. Then we hot fill all in a commercial kitchen. So there's really 4 different ways that the product itself is safe. It was a really good thing for us to learn with. But the hot sauce itself was really delicious, so we're making round 2 and then learning to see what the students want to make for something later in the semester.
If you want to find these hot sauce, you can find it on the butcher shop at Purdue University.
Reading by yourself can be fun and enriching, but what happens when a community bands together to read the same book? This one, for instance. We have Elise Taylor here to tell us more about the Big Read program for 2024. Why don't we get started by talking about what it is for those who might not be familiar with the Big Read?
Sure. The Big Read program is about bringing people together to read in groups. So we work with a variety of people ranging from local high schools to retirees and beyond.
With that kind of history, I'm curious, how do you select the titles each year?
So we do our best to make sure that it's a title that can appeal whether you are 13-year-old first entering high school all the way up to retiree. So it's a bit of a challenging process to find something that will work for all of those groups.
And that brings us to Annie Lee's Delights. Some people have called this a cozy mystery. What made this one rise to the top?
This is the first year that we've done a mystery. It takes place in Singapore, so some of it was wanting to have a book that could appeal to international and intercultural audiences. And also the cozy mystery is a really popular genre just in general. So that is how it ended up being this year's selection.
Without giving too much away, can you give us a little preview of why should we read this one?
Sure. The titular character, Aunty Lee, is a restaurateur in Singapore. And she is kind of a nosy busybody, and she has a murder not quite literally happen on her front steps, but it is someone who she knows, and so she wants to find out who done it.
Of course, it's not just about the book. You also have lots of programming that's connected with it.
I'm particularly excited about our podcast. We have book discussions. We do our best to come at our readers where they might be, regardless of whether that's in person, online, or somewhere in between.
And there are lots of places that you can physically get the book for free. Here's a look at some of the events connected to the Big Read that are coming up. We begin with the Big Read book discussion. That's Tuesday, October 22nd at the Tippecanoe Public Library on South Street. Organizers are expecting a lively discussion. It begins at 6 p.m. If we look a bit deeper in the calendar, you can learn about Singaporean history and culture. An expert from Purdue's Department of History will be giving that talk December 4th at the West Lafayette Public Library, 5 to 6 p.m. Finally, for those who'd like to build a reading community remotely, there's a podcast. It's available on Spotify and Amazon Music. Just search Purdue English Big Read Podcast.
You could pick a pumpkin at an orchard or grab one from the grocery store.
But there's also a patch in town supporting local causes. Here's Maggie Kell.
I'm at the Congress Street United Methodist Church here with Ryan Traeger, the pastor of the church. So you guys have an annual pumpkin patch here every year, I hear. So do you want to give us a little history on how you guys got started?
Sure, yeah, this is the 20th anniversary of the Great Pumpkin Patch. 20 years ago, some members of the church had the idea of having a pumpkin patch to benefit the community, and we've been doing it for 20 years now.
Great. I know I come here a lot and grab my pumpkins, so you definitely want to come down here. Where do these pumpkins come from, and how do you guys get such a large selection every year?
So we work with a group that's out of North Carolina that organizes everything, and then the pumpkins are grown in the southwest part of the United States. They arrive on the back of a truck, and we have a big group of volunteers from our community that come help us unload.
So I also see you guys have a barn in the back, so you don't only just sell pumpkins.
Sure, yeah, local artists and creators sell things in our barn during this month of October as well. We create an opportunity for people in our community to sell their goods, and so there's all sorts of things you can check out in there. And the church additionally bakes over 800 dozen cookies. So we have cookies for sale all month long too.
Come down here and grab your fall items soon. The pumpkin patch is open Sunday through Thursday from noon to 6 and Friday and Saturday from noon to 7.
If you have a story you'd like to see in our next episode of Life on the Wabash, send us an email, connect with us on Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You're the voice that will help drive this show, and we're eager to hear from you. Here's when you can find us next. Until then, we encourage you to explore more and have a happy Saturday.
Brought to you in partnership with Purdue University Brian Lamb School of Communication and NBC 16 Lafayette, a Star City TV station.